Yeah, although we're talking to celebrations, though, one subject right now that has caused the opposites of celebration has caused um, quite the sadness, quite the concern for a lot of football fans and a lot of just people. Period. Is Mason Greenwood being reinstated as a footballer and being signed on a loan deal to Getafe in La Liga. Now, this is just being completely objective. It has caused a stir. It has caused a lot of people to feel really bad based on the accusations that were up against him, based on the case that he was faced against of domestic violence, of sexual assault, and very, very serious accusation and charges that were brought up against him. And after basically beating those cases and being acquitted of these charges, now being reinstated as a footballer.
Can I add
yes?
He didn't beat the case. The charges were dropped.
Yeah,
it's very different.
So he wasn't acquitted. The charges were just dropped.
So
my apologies.
Like the prosecution determined that they didn't have there was enough witnesses who dropped out that were like going to be key to the actual trial. So they felt like they didn't have a strong enough case to like continue to pursue the charges. And so there's no conclusion as to like whether or not he's guilty or innocent. The charges just no longer exist.
Can you say that again? Because that's super important to the people that are going to comment. Oh, but he didn't. Oh, nothing. Like he wasn't convicted. Oh, he wasn't. Like what you just said is extremely important.
Yeah,
but if you don't mind,
literally say
yeah, please.
All right. So I mean, essentially, one thing that is really important for people to understand is the fact that the charges against Mason Greenwood were not actually determined. They didn't determine whether or not he was guilty or innocent. The charges were just dropped. The case was dismissed due to a lack of witnesses due to all of the witnesses who dropped out of the case.
Right.
And so that could be due to a number of reasons. But basically there's no conclusion on whether or not he's guilty or innocent. And so in this whole conversation, that's important to understand because we still have a situation where we have a player who is accused of very serious violence against a woman, specifically sexual assault, sexual violence, who is still continuing to play professional football. And so, at least for me, the most worrying thing about this situation is the fact that there was another club who was willing to take on a player who is seen in the media, in the football world, as somebody who has committed sexual violence against a woman. And this club was comfortable saying, we want him to be in our locker room. We want him to be in our media posts. We want him to be a representative of our organization. And we're going to spend money on that.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, it's very disheartening and like worrying and concerning because it doesn't encourage people to feel like this type of action should be taken seriously. Or that it'll produce some type of consequences.
Yeah, and I think evidence too. This is not a normal. There's a lot of terrible evidence.
One thing that I'll say is that this exposes something about just the judicial system all over the world, which people need to really pay attention to when they speak on, when they try to defend certain people who go through on trial. Because somebody is convicted doesn't mean they are guilty. Because somebody is acquitted or their charges are dropped doesn't mean that they are innocent. And so you kind of have to, in a lot of cases, you have to have your own brain and judge for yourself. Because a judge says something or a lawyer says something doesn't mean that that's just the truth of the matter, doesn't mean that that's a fact. And like, I don't know about y'all, but with all of the different, like you said, all of the evidence that has come out and that we've seen fully with our own eyes, the text messages, certain pictures that come out, voice notes, like crazy. You can. I'm not gonna force anybody to join a side, but you can make your own deduction that something did happen that was wrong, and I don't think that it should be right after the cases are dropped. The charges are dropped, that automatically everything is forgotten and forgiven, and that this dude is reinstated within a new team. Obviously, Manchester United thought that it wasn't appropriate to bring him back. And so for me, I would love to know from Getafe officials, what was the train of thought what was the reasoning? What was the logic that made y'all think this is worth it and that this was the player that we had to sign right now?
Yep.
So I just think that there's too much going on around that. I think that they either did their due diligence and looked at all the evidence and read on the case and educated themselves and still felt like this was appropriate to do, or they didn't care and they just see a footballer and they're like, we need somebody and we're going to sign them.
Yeah.
And I think that that's completely unethical. And you should do your due diligence and do the research and make sure you know who's a part of your organization from top to bottom.
I don't think they care, unfortunately. That's fine.
Yeah. But do y'all have anything else to say on that case?
Just
Mason Greenwood,
y'all covered it well.
ex-United player.
Get him out the sport, please. Please get him out the sport.
I'm saying one thing y'all talked about is the fact that, this is the player you want. You got a lot of people playing football in this world.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people.
So,
but I don't even know if this is gonna make the pod because I'm gonna think about it. But to ask the question though, because I feel like that's a question that I don't know who brought it, but that kind of arose between us is, let's say that the charges weren't dropped and he was acquitted and he went through the full legal process.
It was the menu
and he
thing,
was and he was found not guilty. Does that warrant for him to never have a job in football again?
That's a hard question.
Legally, no, but
Legally, no.
morally, you should be able to make the same deductions regardless of what's proven in court.
So we have the Anthony situation right now, which has not been blown up.
Yeah, so I don't actually know much about that.
It was blown up during the summer.
Okay.
And then season starts, people forget.
Yeah, season started, people forgot. But Anthony was accused of beating his girlfriend. His girlfriend posted pictures. They went to court in Brazil, and like what happened was they found that she faked it. I could be wrong, but what I saw and what I remember seeing was that like the marks were faked and all of that. So he carries on playing football. But for a time, his reputation was tarnished. He was found not guilty and he continues to play football. That, to me, if what happened is correct and, she faked it and he wasn't guilty, it seems fair that he would be allowed to continue.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I don't think that's too controversial to say.
Yeah, that's a very specific case.
Yeah.
Though, but I was asking specifically for Mason Greenwood. If the other way around,
the evidence is. We're based on the evidence is he did it. Like there's videos of him saying like what he said.
To me, it's just case by case. Period.
I don't think you can generalize for this. I think it's case by case.
Really is.
You'd look at the evidence as a human being who's like able to deduce things. You take a look at what you see, what you hear, what you read, and you decide this person is morally corrupt, or this person made a mistake, or this person is innocent. And there's a spectrum.
This wasn't just he said, she said. There was a bit more to it.
But even just, I feel like as a business perspective, the thing that confuses me, like even if you look past like how people feel about sexual assault, about all the misogyny and people not believing victims and stuff, and all the even if you look past that, it's like just as an organization, I feel like
their comments are saying my respect for you has gone up to the club.
I feel like
in Getafe's comments.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but I feel
the top comment is my respect for this club with the up stock emoji.
Well, then
we know some people are just nasty.
That's their most liked photo ever.
Because I was gonna say like I feel like a big thing in football is reputation. Like even if you're signing a player who is known to be get drunk, or like a player who slept with a teammate's wife, like a big thing is like media presence and like. Getafe? Getafe. Every single time they make a post is going to be comments under their picture about Mason Greenwood. Like 1,000%.
But the majority of those comments are positive.
Yeah, well.
It's their most liked photo ever.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, they're also, because it's the biggest prime moment in their history.
Yeah.
At least in the social media era. On some real.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I'm not playing with you though, bro. Wow. What's Getafe doing out here that's gonna like... y'all just lost again on Saturday, bro. Beautiful.
So really,
they gained followers. They gained
fuck out of here.
Because Mason Greenwood has fans who are now following.
Yeah, of course.
It's true.
And you have just misogynist men who love seeing that shit. Like this is
why, as we spoke to kind of close this out, as we spoke earlier of the women, men's male footballers should learn from the women and actually speak out when these things happen and say, This is
I
where
wonder how the Getafe players feel.
This is where Tony Cruz should step in and actually open his mouth.
Now, where's the embarrassing comment now?
Right.
This is where
the embarrassing
you know what?
Yo, he balled out on Saturday. I can't lie.
You know what?
Yo, he was going crazy. He was going crazy. I was
You know
like,
what?
"Ah, no."
You know what?
He was going
This is
crazy.
where
I
for
think it
all
was
the
good.
people who are saying that, Tony Cruz is right to talk about Gabri Vega, if he wants to
Talk
be
about this too.
if he wants to be so opinionated
Yes, bro.
about what footballers are doing,
Especially with
speak
Mandela.
on this.
Come on,
Especially
Tony
what
Mandela.
embarrassing
Talk about
things
this, nigga.
footballers and football
Yes,
clubs are
you
doing.
thought that was embarrassing. How's this?